House, the entire Democratic leadership team was unanimously re-elected. Allison Russo as Minority Leader, Dontavius Jarrells as Assistant Minority Leader, Dani Isaacsohn as Minority Whip, and Michele Grim as Assistant Minority Whip. I talked with Leader Russo just before the Speaker vote on Wednesday.
Listen, whoever is Speaker next General Assembly, our job, and my job specifically as the Minority Leader, is, to try to find some common ground and a path forward. I note this will be the fourth Speaker that I have worked with since I have been a member of the General Assembly. It will be the third as Minority Leader. And so, I know that it is important to have a good working relationship. But, as House Democrats, what we will be focused on is making sure that we are moving forward as much as possible, policies that really improve the lives of everyday people. But also, we know that we are a firewall on some issues, and we will not back down from being that firewall when we have to. And so, it certainly will be challenging navigating regardless who is Speaker. I mean, even the current Speaker and I, as we had a good working relationship, but we disagreed on many things. And still, had mutual respect and professionalism and tried to work together where we could, and it made sense.
So you're not ready to say whether the Democrats will put up their own candidate as Speaker when the floor vote happens?
Listen, there are too many unknowns. Let's, let the Republicans have that debate. And I'm sure it will be a rigorous debate amongst themselves. And I know what our job is as the House Democratic Caucus and what we will be focused on in the next General Assembly.
You knew going into this that whoever was going to be the House Speaker was going to be a conservative. So how will you work with him on legislation that Democrats care about?
Yeah, so I think, listen, as in the past, in many circumstances, there are pieces of legislation that, frankly, they're not conservative ideas or Democratic ideas or Republican ideas. They're just good ideas. And so the challenge often in the minority is you try to find as many of those as possible. And it turns out we have members who are quite successful in doing that and finding a path forward because, often issues don't come down firmly in Democrat Republican support. There's usually a mix of support and you have to find coalitions to move it forward. That said, on the flip side, there are certainly things that, we will vigorously fight back on. Any attacks on working rights, attacks on public education, attacks on voting rights, attacks on the freedom to make your own medical care decisions. Those are things that we're going to hold a firm line, and we absolutely probably will have vigorous debate. But that's how this business works here. It's messy. It's a little give and take, and you try to make progress where you can.
You gained 2 seats in this last election, but you're still in the minority. There's been a lot of legislation that's been introduced that did not pass as this dispute in the Republican leadership carried on. Democrats probably don't expect a lot of their bills to pass, but has this been a particularly frustrating 2-year session for you in that things just didn't move?
Well, certainly there has been frustration by both Democrats and Republicans. That's probably why you see these divisions still exist in the Republican caucus. And it is because, yes, there's been a lot of dysfunction there, mostly because of internal conflicts that have been going on amongst the Republicans. But our members have been successful in many ways. And, that's the challenge here, especially as the minority caucus, is you have to figure out ways to be effective, to know the process, where you can make small incremental change, improvements to legislation, having your legislation be part of other legislation, negotiation is incredibly important. And so our members have been able to find, good success there. Are there things that are still sitting in the Senate that we find very frustrating, especially if they came out? Our legislation always has bipartisan support. It has to in order to get across the finish line. Sometimes it has unanimous support coming out of the House. Is that frustrating for it not to move in the Senate? Yes, but that's not just a Democrat problem. That is, I think, across the entire, especially in the House side, and it's been incredibly frustrating.
Any idea what you can expect in lame duck? Is this going to be a long session? Is there going to be a lot of stuff that moves, or is it going to close early?
Well, that's, I think, to be determined. I think there are still many things on the to-do list that should be done. Things that we could get done, some low-hanging fruit. I think things, again, that we've got broad bipartisan consensus on. There's certainly, we are still pushing to make some progress on the property tax issue, providing direct relief to property owners. And I do believe that can still get done, and it's a choice if we don't. There are still some outstanding questions in the space of, how do we move forward with this Delta 8 issue? That there will be some debate over, as always, there will be some sort of Christmas tree bill to deal with some outstanding budget issues. And so there's still opportunities to get good things done. My hope is that we don't use lame duck to focus on things that really, at the end of the day, do not improve people's lives and only serve to put people in conflict. And so we'll see. We'll see how the next couple of weeks emerge.
One bill that Speaker Jason Stephens has taken off the table is Senate Bill 83 that Democrats were opposed to. Is that a relief to you?
Well, I think he's been pretty clear about his position on that from the beginning, so I'm not surprised to see it completely taken off the table for this General Assembly. I mean, we all anticipate it will be back next General Assembly.
And Senator Jerry Serino says it will be back.
Yeah, he's been very clear about that, and I will be very clear that we will remain very opposed to it and pushing back on it.